Hello, welcome to Summit 2 Unit 7, Minds at Work. Unit Preview. In this unit, you will be able to compare your strengths and weaknesses, define an idea, explain how you produce your best work, debate preferential treatment for the gift. Okay, let's continue. Let's start. The multiple intelligences theory. Howard Gardner investigated and suggested that in a person we have different intelligences. That means that we are able to different things, not everybody the same. And among the multiple intelligences that he could find out, it was thought that they were 8. Now we know that they are 9. They are the verbal linguistic. Let's make it bigger so that you can see. Okay, the verbal linguistic. Learning through spoken and written words, reading, listening, speaking, and writing. The people who are really good on speaking and explaining things. Mathematical logical, it means that we learned through reasoning and problem solving, and their specialty is numbers. Musical, learning through songs, patterns, rhythms, instruments, and musical expression. Visual spatial, learning visually and organizing ideas spatially, thinking images and pictures and see things in one's mind. Existential, learning by seeing the big picture, connect real-world understandings and application to new learning. Naturalist, learning through classification, categories, and hierarchies, ability to pick up on subtle differences. Interpersonal, learning through internal ideas with meaning, writing, working collaboratively and actively working in teams. Intrapersonal, learning through feelings, values, and attitudes. Understand other people. Bodily kinesthetic, learning through interaction with one's environment, concrete experiences. What is your main intelligence? Some of us are naturalists, so we pay a lot of attention on natural world and environment. Some of us are interpersonal. We are very good on working in teams and communicating with others. Some of us are intrapersonal. It means that we are very good at reasoning things, working on mental processes, but not necessarily talking about them with anybody else. Bodily kinesthetic, you may be a very good dancer or a sports person, an athlete. Visual spatial, you can be a painter, you can be an artist, you can be a sculptor or an actor, an actress. Musical, you can be not only a musician but also a sound engineer. Mathematical logical, okay, you can be an accountant, you can be a physician. Verbal linguistic, You can be a communicator, a teacher, a politician. Existential. You can be a philosopher. You can be a psychologist. Okay, so it doesn't mean that we have only one kind of intelligence. Many of us have different intelligences that we every day manage in our lives. But there are also some weaknesses that we have. For example, in my case, I am a verbal linguistic person, I am existential, I am interpersonal, I am bodily kinesthetic, I am musical, but my weaknesses are mathematical, logical. I am not very good at making some uh, um, operations, maybe. I am not a very good visual spatial person. So for me, it is kind of like a difficult task to imagine something and later on explain it, narrate it, or paint it. Uh, for me, it is kind of like a difficult task to concentrate sometimes if I am not speaking about something. Okay, so it means that we have to work a lot more on that. Okay, vocabulary. Here we have some pieces, some exponents of vocabulary. A piece of conversation, a small conversation. So, do you remember John Clayton? I think so. Wasn't he the kid who was always failing in class and getting into trouble? That's the one. Well, he's apparently turned his life around. I just heard he's the chairman of carnivores. Get out of here! John Clayton, head of a multi-million-dollar company? I guess he turned out to have a real head for business. That's for sure. I didn't think he had it in him. It just goes to show you, you can judge a book by its cover. Okay, so here we have some more expressions. To have a head for figures, to have an ear for music, to have an eye for detail, to have a way with words, to have a knack for languages, to have a good intuitive sense, to have a way with people, to be good with one's hand, to be mechanically inclined. Unit 7. Grammar, subordinating conjunctions and transitions. Meaning, one thing causes or is the result for another thing. The subordinating conjunction. Because, since, example. Since of investigating the brain is quite new, no theory of intelligence has yet been proved. Transitions. Therefore, consequently, example given, many companies believe IQs and EQs are crucial to success. Therefore, they often require applicants to take IQ and EQ tests. One thing contrasts with another thing. The conjunctions are even though or although. Example given, some people has achieved extraordinary successes even though they don't have high IQs. The transitions. However, nevertheless, nonetheless. Example, no theory of intelligence had yet been proved. Nonetheless, many institutions believe success depends on high IQs and EQs. One thing will occur only if a specific condition exists. Example given, unless. Unless a new theory emerges, our abilities will continue to be measured with IQ and EQ tests. Otherwise, he must have a high IQ, otherwise he wouldn't have gotten that job. One thing is a condition for another thing. As long as, if, only, provided that, you will get a job as long as your score on the IQ test is very high. A condition doesn't matter. Even if one's EQ can be high, one's EQ can be high even if one's IQ is low. All right, Unit 7. Practice. Circle the correct subordinated conjunctions or transitions. IQ scores rise approximately 20 points with every generation. This increase is called the Flynn effect because, or therefore, it was discovered by New Zealand political scientist James Flynn. About 50 years ago, few people reached the scores most people get today. Otherwise, consequently, if people taking an IQ test today were scored with the norms used 50 years ago, more than 90% of them would be classified as geniuses. Nevertheless, or even though, we are not more intelligent than our ancestors, unless or otherwise, we would all excel at everything we do. The rise in IQ seems to be caused by a combination of factors such as better nutrition, more schooling, and exposure to more complex technologies. Researchers believe that if our grandparents were born today, they would get the same scores we get even if, as long as, they were exposed to the same environment and education we are exposed to. Okay, here we have also some keywords that are genius, gifted, average, gene, inherit, and determine. Okay, so here we have a discussion. This is nature or nurture. Let's talk about the life of Sigmund Freud, the childhood of Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud's father, Jacob, a struggling wood merchant, and his wife, Amelia, recognized their son's intellect at an early age. As a child, Sigmund spent hours poring over books and completed reading Shakespeare's plays by the age of 8. An excellent student, he always ranked first in his class. He excelled at languages and quickly mastered Latin, Greek, French, English, Italian, and Spanish. Sigmund's parents made every effort to foster his abilities, often favoring him over his 5 sisters and his brother. The other Freud children grew up in Sigmund's shadow. They listened to their mother, who called Sigmund "my golden Siggy," brag about his accomplishments so often that they came to know her stories by heart. Although the family lived in a small, crowded apartment, Sigmund was given his own room, where he studied, slept, and ate meals so that he could continue studying without interruption. Sigmund's sister, Anna, dreamed of becoming a pianist. However, when Sigmund complained that her practicing disturbed his concentration, the music lessons were ended and the piano was sold. Sigmund Freud went on to become one of the most influential thinkers of the 20th century. Not only did he influence the professional practice of psychology and psychiatry, but he profoundly changed the way people view themselves and think about their lives. Okay, so here the discussion is, what was the cause for Sigmund Freud's success? Nature or nurture? Okay, thank you for watching this video. We hope it has been useful for you. If you have some more doubts, contact your tutor or your monitor. Don't forget to work with the exercises and activities in the platform. Meet you at your conversation class.